Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Gooner Gathering. My name is Goonerly Meads, and we are here on Gooner Gathering. We're also here on Arsenal Domination. I'll introduce Dom first. Dom Palmer to my right. That's that way. How are you? How are you doing? All right, mate?
Very well, thank you. Yeah. Is it right or other right? Doesn't really matter. All I know is I'm always right.
If only Twitter would agree with you, mate.
Oh,
That would make things so much easier.
Of course, the best right is Ian Wright.
Not the other right that went to Liverpool, no?
No. But there we go. But we should probably introduce the more important of your guests this evening.
He is.
We're all important.
Without question, the poshest man in all of Somerset, my lovers. He is Posh Bertie. Hello, sir. How are you?
All right, my lovers and all you fellow cider drinkers out there. I'm not going to do that accent, don't worry. I'm good. I'm very good. I accomplished something this week. I accomplished something yesterday, from what I heard. There is a show that a few Arsenal fans might be familiar with on YouTube called The Cannon and Jonesy Show.
Oh, I'm familiar.
And they have a segment on that show called The Name Game. And the illustrious panel, the illustrious people in the chat on that show were tasked of naming, I believe, the ultimate Arteta outer. And in a segment in which the likes of Troops, Curtis Shaw, and someone else who I'm not going to mention after the unacceptable way he treated a friend of mine were there.
Right.
Yours truly came out on top as the ultimate Arteta outer. So I would like to say I'm honoured, especially when I was up against such big names. And it means if I'm getting awards for that, I must be doing something right. But there is actually quite a more serious element to this. What we need to remember is all Arsenal fans are not going to have the same opinion. And there will be some people that, and I realise that there are going to be people who want Arteta to stay as manager, and there are going to be people that want Arteta who may not disagree on on Arteta and certain players. But I do not judge people purely on their views on Arteta. Okay, the two hosts of the show, both Jonesy and Liam. It's pretty clear I'm going to disagree on their thoughts on Arteta, but that doesn't matter. Two of them are both excellent people, and the work they do in doing the show they do is fantastic. And I'm actually a big fan of it. And I actually think a lot of the people in that community are decent people. But it's important that we all get along with each other, regardless of our opinions on Arteta, and not resort to name calling and insults, which is why I voluntarily left a Twitter group chat, because one person was just calling me every name under the sun. But yeah, at the end of the day, we all support Arsenal and we all want what's best for the club. So, me and Lee, we've tested our limits numerous times because of our thoughts on Arteta and certain players. But we respect one another, and what unites us, not just our love of professional wrestling, but the fact we both want what's best for Arsenal. Same with Mr. Arsenal Domination here. So if we all had the same opinions, the world would be a boring place. So I think going into this season, even though we may disagree on Arteta and certain Arsenal players, I just wish we can respect each other on other things.
Can I say, mate, that was really, really well said.
I was going to say, I couldn't agree more with the previous statement that was made.
I mean, listen, me and Bertie, yeah, we've fallen out on the channel and stuff like that, but it's only as the broadcasting, the boss of this channel that we've fallen. I love that man to pieces, and I said so much last Tuesday when we had a drink up in Kent before he made his dramatic move up to Kent, and hence he's back here with us on the sporadic, shall we say?
How long it will last, I've no idea, but
somewhere about 6:30 on Sunday.
Yeah, possibly.
Sesko hat trick and
Don't. We'll come to that. We'll come to Sunday in just a bit. It's funny we bring up Tuesday last week because Stacey is teasing us in the chat because we're late. Of course, Dom was doing football training. It overran, but it's nice to see Stacey in the chat as well. Guys, if you're watching us, you know what to do. You know the drill. This is YouTube. You give us a like. You give us a subscribe. You put your comments, as long as you're respectful. We'll put the comments on the screen, and that is what it's all about. It's all about a healthy debate, and I think that's the point that Bertie made very, very eloquently at the top of this. So let's get into the juicy stuff, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? Let's talk about videos that myself and Dom have put out over the last 24 hours or so.
Is this a bit where I have to remember what I said?
Yes, it is. But I have prepped you for this, so it's okay. So the talk of who the Arsenal captain should be came into prominence this week with Tony Adams, who's the captain I grew up with, is one of my absolute heroes and a legend of the club. It's something that's come back up to the boil once more, and I'll read the quote that I said on the Gooner Gathering stream yesterday from Tony. He, as in Mikel Arteta, has a really big call to make this year, and for me, he hasn't done it. And the call to make Declan Rice is the captain. Declan is my kind of captain. It might open up Ødegaard to play with a bit more freedom. Now, the development on from Tony's statement from that is that apparently, according to the press conference, Mikel Arteta has said the players have voted who the captain should be, and without question, according to the players, it should be Martin Ødegaard. So, as far as I'm concerned, that's all put to bed. Big up to AFC always. I see you in the chat, mate. Thank you very much for joining us once more. It is great to see you once more. So, Dom, tell me your views on the captain situation and Tony's views. I mean, anyone who goes and talks against the club captain is going to get ridiculed, or club legend, right? I know I have been, so go for it.
So I've been told. Look, I think the captaincy is subjective, right? Different people want different things in leaders. It's why sometimes you see new managers come in and change the captain. I think for me, if we were in the mid-90s, early 2000s, that's the type of captains that sort of existed then. And as fans, that's the sort of thing you can really sort of latch onto because you can see it on the pitch. I think there's sort of several elements to leadership, and I've done videos on this in the past, which is you sort of have those sort of quiet leaders that will go around, they do the talking, they do the behind-the-scenes, non-showy stuff, and you'll have those talkers on the pitch. I don't really mind who wears the captain's armband for me because I think the days of sort of one person sort of controlling that dressing room really are kind of gone. And I think that's probably where you did need that big, strong, outgoing personality to control all those egos in the dressing room. It's why you saw the likes of Brian Robson, Terry Butcher, Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira, Tony Adams himself, who, is a club legend. But, I think now it's about a leadership group. And I think what you need in that leadership group is a variety of different people in there. And you've got your sort of quiet lead by example types like Martin Ødegaard, like Bukayo Saka. And I think there's a lot of respect for Martin Ødegaard as well in the team. You sort of see the little video clips of the letters and stuff, which I always find a little bit, twee and a little bit set up. But, there are little bits like that I think, probably make a difference. And I'm not saying Gabriel or Declan Rice can't do that. And then on the other, maybe we can, we don't know. But on the other hand, you've got those sort of fist pumpers, big chatters on the pitch. And that's the likes of Gabriel and Declan Rice. And I always think that just those sort of guys are going to lead anyway. So by having the quieter type sort of made to lead, if you like, or sort of trusted to sort of be able to sort of talk through it, you kind of bring the best out of them, which gives you more of a leadership group. So I don't really mind who the captain is. If it's Martin Ødegaard, that's fine by me. I think the important thing is you've got 3 or 4 leaders in that team. And if you look back on those great teams, yes, Tony Adams might be the captain, but you had other big leaders in that team. The likes of, Ian Wright was a bit of a joker, but he led in a different way. Martin Keown was there. You look back, Vieira and Petit, and lots and lots of those players sort of all the way through, and that's what for me is really important. I will say though that Tops on his channel this morning made a good point, which is if the captaincy has become a burden for Martin Odegaard, and I don't think that was the reason last season that he struggled. I think that was a combination of other things. That's when you look to take the captaincy away from him if it is impacting his performances. Now, Arsenal will know that, Arteta will know that, Martin Odegaard will know that. If that's the situation, I don't think they would have continued with him with the armband this year. But what I do think he does need to do is, if Martin Odegaard continues his poor form, and I don't think it will, that's where you can't be afraid to drop him. And the fact you have got other leaders there does mean you can have someone else pick up the armband for a few games. And actually, Martin Odegaard can't play every game this season anyway. We'll probably talk about it later, but rotation is going to be key. So that's for me. I don't really mind who the captain is. It's a leadership group, and I think it's subjective. And I don't think there is a right or wrong answer here. To be honest with you, because it's what you as a manager or you as a person want most in a leader, and that will be different to me, to you, to Bertie, to everyone out there. It's what's important for that group and right now, and what they think is best. And no one will know better than the team themselves. But that's my view.
Thank you very much, Dom. I'll bring up AFC Always comment, and I'll go to Bertie. He says Top Gooner slagging off Tony Adams for spitting facts about Odegaard and Arteta. Maybe shut up and listen to a man who's been there, done it, and won titles as the captain of Arsenal. Odegaard is not the captain you want for the team. This is where I think I bring Posh Bertie in. Go on, sir.
I think I've been on record for a good number of years, pretty much ever since Declan Rice signed for us, that he would be an excellent captain. I like my captains to be vocal leaders. It's what I think the term captain kind of means in football. You want the captain to actually lead the line and be the person on the pitch, as opposed to the manager who's in the dugout off the pitch, to be the one that your players can rely on. And to do that, you need to be vocal and show a bit of that you're in charge on the pitch. Declan Rice does that. I think Gabriel also does that as well. He's a potential shout out for a future captain. And Odegaard doesn't do that. And I know people say, lead by example in terms of goals scored. To be honest, Odegaard hasn't done that. Didn't do that last season in terms of goals scored. Arguably, probably didn't do that 2 seasons ago either. I like my captains to be vocal leaders. Declan Rice does that. I'm not comparing the two, but Tony Adams was a vocal leader. Yeah, Patrick Vieira was a vocal leader. You need someone to stand tall, and that's what Declan Rice does. So I actually do agree with Tony Adams. I think saying something like this so near at the start of the season is a bit... I know it might make things a bit uneasy, but at the end of the day, I do think Tony Adams is right, and he didn't say anything bad about Arteta either. That's why a lot of the Arteta supporters are spinning, because they're trying to spin it into Tony Adams hates Arteta. No, he didn't say anything bad. All he'd said was, I think Rice should be captain, not Odegaard. And I don't think people should be turning on one of our biggest legends. Thierry Henry had that treatment about 2 months ago when he questioned something. But basically, I do agree with Tony. I think Rice would be a better captain. Gabriel as well, in my opinion.
Just really quickly, if I may, I think that's it, right? If you listen to what he said, my view, and it's what I like in a leader, right? We've just both spoke about how different kind of leaders, and it will be very much was like linked to what suits the personalities in the team best, because different people respond differently to different things, right? And you're absolutely right. He was very clear. It was his view of what he likes in a leader, and you're absolutely right. He was respectful on it. He gave his view in a respectful manner, and I think it is a subjective decision. But I think the other crucial thing here is that he's also, while the timing is not ideal for an Arsenal perspective, that's not his job. His job is to talk about football and give his honest view on them. That is what he is paid for these days. He's not employed by the club, so he, like everyone else, is entitled to his view on this. So I don't think anyone should be having a pop at Tony Adams. I don't happen to agree with him on this issue. I have no problem if Declan Rice was to become the captain. As I said earlier, it doesn't really worry me. You want a variety of types, but absolutely, I think Tony Adams isn't deserving of any kind of criticism for this, because he's offered his own personal view, and there's a logic behind it. You can follow the logic entirely of what he's saying.
And Tony Adams he's been there. He's certainly one of our greatest captains, arguably our greatest captain ever. So when I think he's definitely worth listening to if he wants to say something about the club. He's certainly someone of a man of the stature to do that.
Both points of view are absolutely valid, and it goes back to what Bertie said. I think right at the start, people can have different opinions on this thing. That's one of the reasons I brought this subject up on our channel here, Gooner Gathering, yesterday. It's because it's going to generate debate, and it was a respectful debate as well. In my view, right, the captain's role has tremendously changed in modern day football to how it was. That you almost need a captain. Yeah, you want a captain to be vocal, but you need it to be calm as well, because there's subtle rule changes as well that are going to be implemented in the thing. I've actually got this written down. So only the captain is allowed to talk to the referee, apparently, from this season. Yeah. If someone approaches the referee without permission, you're going to get booked. You have to have maybe a slightly calmer persona on you than maybe someone else might have done.
I can't see Odegaard going up to the referee and arguing his point. I can't see him having the guts to do it. But
I think I don't know if he will or not. I mean, you can't. He'll certainly do it in a calm manner, right? If he does, you can also
don't want to go overboard, but
because
you might get sent off. So
exactly, you can have a second player, right, that can do it as well. I thought there was what you could designate one other player to go. I missed. I thought I must have. I heard that earlier today.
Right. Okay. Let me sort of really go through this. I think this is an important rule change, which I will talk about. Right. Only only the captain can convey with the referee. The only exception you're going to have here is if your goalkeeper is nominated the captain, and therefore the goalkeeper can nominate an outfield player to be up there to talk to the referee. So, but again, it kind of suggests to me, and Dom said it already as well, the role of the captain is very different, and you can have several leaders in the side. We talked about how good Gabriel is. Bertie made a really good point on that. I've said myself, I think Gabriel Magalhaes has been the most consistent player at the club probably for about 3 years. And the only, it's really weird because we had so much time without him with an injury, without it being injured. And we had this big injury block that we had with him last year. We hadn't seen that with him at all. And that with the injury with Saliba as well, which over the preseason is a little concerning, makes me wonder who we're going to line up to centre-backs against Man United on Sunday. But you can have different sort of captains. I see Odegaard very similar to Arteta, and maybe not the most vocal player, but able to talk to the referee and get a point across. So again, it's one of those that were in the debate, but if your fellow players in your dressing room are voting for you to be the captain, who are we from the outside to doubt that?
Can I also address AFC Always' comment saying Declan Rice made that example when we played Real Madrid? And I remember when name redacted got a yellow card, meaning that he'd missed the first leg of the semi-final against PSG. The way Declan Rice came up to him and went, "What are you doing that for? You've just screwed yourself over here," like essentially something like that. I'm thinking that's leadership. That's why he should have the armband. He gets it. But yeah.
Okay. Gentlemen, I'm going to put another comment on the screen. I haven't heard this, but AFC Always has put it in the chat, and I will recognise it. Question: what is this about Arteta wants training sessions at Connolly held in total darkness so his players can develop predator level ball track-ins? Tell me, what is he talking about?
No,
I heard about this, but you know my thoughts on Arteta and his weird training methods. He brought in pickpockets to steal the players' stuff, and it's about alertness or whatever. Just, I don't know. I really, and quite frankly, don't really want to go into all this detail because I want this stream. I don't want to moan about Arteta too much on this stream.
I mean, he does some weird stuff, and like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I don't think we really know if it does or doesn't work. You know, I imagine some bits work really well and connect with some players, and some bits don't. But I mean, I haven't heard about this total darkness stuff. I'm assuming it's not total darkness because that would be completely insane.
The only thing that's in total darkness at the moment is our trophy cabinet in the last 5 years.
It's not true. Not true. We picked up a trophy last week, the Emirates Cup. Don't tell me it's not glamorous.
You're very lucky you've got mod powers and I haven't.
Funny enough, you still do.
I don't.
No, you do.
Yeah.
You have mod powers. But
not
okay.
StreamYard powers. That's what I meant.
Okay. We've got an interesting starting 11 here from AFC Always. Well, I think he's trying to distract me from doing my stream. Kenny Ken, Troops, Lion Text, Southern Gooner, Yardman, Dan Potts, Shane Gooner, Jez Collins, Northside, Curtis Shaw, and name redacted Gunner.
I think, but to make that starting 11, we'd have to sell players first, and we're not good at doing that. So
no.
That is a really good point. Other than last season when we managed to get money back from someone like Emil Smith Rowe, for example, the players out is something I have got ready and waiting to go in the notes in a bit. But what I think I'd like to do first up is talk about the players that we've had come in. So we tried to do this the other day, mate, and you were having difficulties on your end. You're much better today. I've got to say, you don't have a time delay. That helps.
Yeah, that's great. So hopefully that means I can talk about Madueke and not mysteriously get cut off.
In the words of Gene Snitsky, that wasn't my fault.
Yeah, well, I don't drop kick children though, unlike Gene Snitsky. So.
Yeah, that's a obscure wrestling reference for those who didn't know.
Shall I do my best Arsene Wenger and say I didn't see it?
Yes, absolutely.
Probably for the best, to be honest, Dom.
AFC Always. I see a question when I start talking about Man United. We will address the starting 11s. Okay. So our transfers in, and you got to say, 6 in before the season has begun is, quite promising. Now, some of these I know quite well, others maybe not so. But I'll bring up all the names, and I want to give Bertie a chance to say what he wants to say, because he couldn't say what he wanted to say about Noni Madueke the other day. I'll just name the 6 players that have come in. It's Kepa, Christian Mosquera, Christian Norgard, of course, Martin Zubimendi, which we're all quite familiar with, certain Gorkarez, and Noni Madueke. Now, Posh, I want to give you absolutely the floor to talk about what you wanted to say the other day.
Well, as I said, when it comes to our transfer window, there are positives, such as Zubimendi and Gyökeres coming in. And I think Mosquera as well, from what I've seen of him. I've not seen much, but he looks like a decent player for backup, especially. Now, I said, regardless of what certain people who pretend to be ITKs say, I knew that the Madueke deal would affect other potential incomings, such as maybe Eze or Rodrigo, because 52 million, even in today's market, is a lot of money for a backup player, because we were told he was going to be a backup to Saka, even though we've got someone capable of being a backup for him in Ethan Nwaneri, but I'll cross that bridge when I get there. Now, I hope Madueke proves me wrong, but I do not agree with the signing. Now, Madueke isn't a terrible player. He's actually, as far as some of the Chelsea players go from last season, he's not that bad. But we didn't need him because he's more of a right winger than a left winger, and we didn't need him. We've got Nwaneri to be Saka's backup. Nwaneri's better at that than he is in the middle. He can play there. He's still young. He can learn how to play there, but at the moment he's better on the right. And I just think that money could have gone towards Eze, who could very well be going to Tottenham now, or that could have been some of the money going towards Rodrigo, who could, rumor innuendo, could be going to Man City. I think we've wasted a big chunk of money. And another negative is the selling. We have this is where the negative side of me is coming out now. We are so bad, so notoriously bad at selling. Our second biggest sale was Nicholas Anelka, and I wasn't even born when that happened. We didn't even reach the new millennium when that happened. You know, when Nicholas Anelka got sold, people were talking about Y2K. It's just
Chris Jericho.
No, different letters.
Sorry, mate.
No, it's you know, we are 2 minutes into the new season, and Sambi Lokonga is still at the club. We've not sold anybody. No, and we're going to have, if we're going to get another player, potentially a left winger, we're going to have to sell to buy. And I think if the likes of Zinchenko, Lokonga, maybe even Kivior potentially, I wouldn't probably sell him now, but it's just an example. If those players were going to go, they'd have done so by now. It's just going to be panic stations in the next few weeks when we realise, oh God, we've got to sell, and there's a chance that we might sell them completely under their value. And we won't even get Eze anyway.
Okay, fair enough. I don't necessarily agree with that. Before I respond to that, it's only fair I get Dom to chime in.
It's probably the right order because I'm not too far away from that. So I think the incomings are fairly good, to be fair. I think when you look at, I was talking about Liverpool the other day, and right now, I know this is a very quick point. Liverpool have had a really objectively good window, but they have left some quite significant holes. I think Arsenal still need another player at least in the attack, 2 if there's outgoings. But actually, for starting the season, you're not worried. I mean, you obviously don't want an injury, but there are 2 players for every position. Liverpool don't have that. Now, the window is still open for everybody, so we'll see where we end up. But Arsenal have gone about plugging their main holes, and I think they've made some smart signings, not sexy signings, but smart signings in Norgard for Jorginho, Christian Mosquera basically for Tomiyasu, and Kepa for Neto. I think, none of them are going to get you off your seat, but they are really smart, sensible signings, players that, will work really hard, push really hard, and can come in and cover, but they know they're the cover players, right? But can still do more than a job. And I think signings like that kind of make or break teams for me, because you can't always go out and spend 50, 60, 70 plus million pounds on players. You need to find those sort of cheaper end ones. So I think that's gone well. I think Zubimendi looks class. I think we all wanted him last summer. He obviously chose to stay in Spain, which is why Arsenal went after Mikel Merino instead in the end. I think he will. He's an upgrade on his predecessor. And I think he upgrades both us defensively, although I think there will be moments early on where he may will struggle with sort of adapting to the intensity and the physicality and stuff. But I think he will learn that really quickly. But going forward, I think he will massively help us with that quick movement of the ball. And Victor Gyökeres, is the striker I wanted out of the 2. We all wanted Isak, but I mean, I just don't. While he may well leave Liverpool, that was, that you have a choice there between where you invest that money. And I think if you bring him in, you're not bringing in, at least 1, if not 2 other players. So I think those are really good. 2 starting 11 upgrades for me, and I think upgrades in goalkeeper, backup. Mosquera, I don't think is as good as Tomiyasu, but is going to likely be available more than Tomiyasu, which therefore makes him an upgrade. And Norgard, Jorginho, Norgard for me, slightly better on the pitch, probably slightly weaker off the pitch. So overall about right. Mosquera's the one for me where I look at it. I don't mind Mosquera as a player. I also don't mind bringing in a player that is suited for the right. I agree with Posh on Ethan Wanyeri, though. I worry about his game time. I know they're sort of saying they want to see him more in the middle, and that is probably his best position, his natural position. But he has moved up to senior football now, and sometimes that means you playing slightly wider while you sort of get used to the physicality of it, because it's more physical in the middle. Now he has bulked up this off season, so we'll see how it goes. That was one concern. My second concern is if he is being brought in for that left wing upgrade, and if Arsenal see that as the left wing upgrade, I'm not convinced by that. But and the third thing, and I won't talk about this for long because I think Posh nailed it here, is it's the opportunity cost, right? That's £50 million. That seems to be the going rate for backup wingers. I find that ridiculous, but that kind of seems to be the market value this summer, generally speaking. So I'm less worried about that price. What I am worried about is what you could have done with that. Now Arsenal had a choice to make here. Now they always wanted Madueke, right? But if they didn't get Madueke,
it was Arteta that wanted him.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, to be clear, I think that Arsenal have a transfer committee. This has been widely reported, and they do argue and agree on transfers, and they go out at having agreed on where their priorities are. But I think this was the one where Arteta will have argued for him, whereas Alberto has argued for other players. I think Mosquera probably falls into that category, and I think Gyökeres probably does too. Whereas Zubimendi, I mean, that deal was done before Berto arrived, but obviously someone Arteta wanted. Kepa was probably an Arteta kind of pick. And Berto
he plays for Chelsea, so of course he's an Arteta.
Yeah. I mean, but I think that's a really good signing to be clear as a backup. But it is that opportunity cost. Now you've then got the choice between: do you get them in early, or do you wait till late in the window? Because Rodrigo's always going to be a late window opportunity rather than an early one. And that's sort of a decision Arsenal had to make. Now, like I say, the window isn't over. I do not expect to see 2 players come in unless it's Gabby Martinelli that's sold. I think we can add one financially without exits. Right now, I think the exits are because the squad is huge. And I agree with you as well, Bertie, on the exits, right? Which is Arsenal have a horrid reputation. It's somewhat changed in the last couple of years, as Lee alluded to. But Arsenal have a horrid reputation. Now, some of that is because we had, if you take us back to the start of Edu, right? The backup players were on, players in general, generally speaking, with the 3 or 4 exceptions, weren't good enough and were on high wages. Shifting them's really difficult. Then you kind of want to move on players that were sort of low risk, high reward sort of deals, like Tavares, the Conga, that sort of thing, where they didn't work out and therefore you're stuck with them because they've not done well enough to get you the money back. And then you've got players that have been moved on, but we've moved past, like Zinchenko and Jesus, who are on big wages, and so some of that's there. And but because Arsenal have such a poor reputation for selling, exactly what you've just articulated, Posh, is you can't sell a player without a buyer. Well, buyers are going to wait till the end, knowing Arsenal want to sell because they want some money in, of course, but more importantly, they want the squad space, and that will drive the price down. Coupled with the fact that we've got some of them on high wages, like Zinchenko, and this is the one where I think Arteta has to take some responsibility on the third one, which is if he doesn't like a player, he doesn't play them at all, and therefore that also drives down the market. And all of that makes Arsenal poor sellers. This summer I wasn't expecting big sales because I didn't see where the sort of players we'd want to sell ideally would come from, unless someone offered silly money for someone that you'd happily go. Let's say someone comes in for 45 million for Kivior. I think that's probably over his market rate, right? Unless you're selling to the Premier League. But all of those things need addressing, and Arsenal definitely need to sell. They need to move these players on, and they're going to sell players at a loss, but that was likely to happen. And I think we need those extra attackers in. So, in summary, incomings, I think, fairly good. Actually, really quite good. Madueke, let's see. It's not him. It's what we could have done. and sales. But we'll see where we end up. I think there will be one more incoming.
Thank you very much.
I'm just going to turn the light on quickly, Lee. Sorry.
Can I
Yeah.
ask? Actually, can I ask? I want to ask you both a question regarding this. You hear Arteta say things about, "Oh, we're a family club." Do you think that's making some of our players a bit too laid back and thinking, "Oh, it's all right. I've got no pressure," or is that just me overthinking?
I think the pressure's on more than ever, to be honest with you. You hear Arteta talking about 3 years of consistency, but he also talked about the importance of picking up a major trophy. This is Arsenal Football Club. This is, you know, we're not here to make up numbers. We're here to pick up trophies. So I'm in no doubt. That the pressure's on.
I think he knows the pressure's on too, right? My view is that we've been in, the winning phase, for want of a better phrase, now for 12 months. I think we entered it last summer, and last season, for a variety of reasons, didn't go as you'd have liked. So I think he knows the pressure's on, and I think the pressure comes from himself and within the club as well as with the fans. I think the family reference for me really sort of ties to Arsenal's traditional values. If you look at, I understand why Arsenal did it, but I don't agree with it. And when he got injured, he was going to be injured for the whole season. So what did we do? We gave him a new contract to show that we value loyalty and what have you. We shouldn't have done that. That was ridiculous. But what it does do, that's the type of thing Arsenal have traditionally done through their careers, look after people. And I think that he was talking about the sort of traditions and values of the club more than anything else in that one, for me. But he knows the pressure's on. You can sort of hear it when he sort of speaks about it, and he will want to win. He will want to prove people wrong, and so will the players. The question is, can he do it? And we'll find out this year, won't we?
Yeah, I agree. Right, I wanted to bring up Madueke a little bit, and I have the comment on the screen from AFC Always. Madueke is our new left winger. You don't spend £52 million on a backup for Saka when Nwaneri or Nwaneri is there. I thought for the little bit that Madueke has played over the pre-season, and certainly the last Emirates Cup game, the 20-30 minutes that he played, whatever it was, he was excellent. He gave us something completely different on that left-hand side. He gave us some directness. He's left-footed naturally, so he didn't have to cut in on the other side, and he wasn't scared of running at people. You might say that for other people that may be like 15 years old, who I don't want to big up massively, because I think it's a bit ridiculous that people thinking that a young 15-year-old's going to go and play Premier League football.
It's a shame he was our best attacker the whole pre-season, by the sounds of it.
He had a good pre-season, but again, I don't want to look too much into that, because the real stuff starts on Sunday. And when you get in players, I mean, Arteta's talked about this over the press conference today, the importance of getting minutes for certain players and trying to manage certain players who've had injuries through the way, like Calafiori, like Havertz, who came out from the back end of last season, only coming back as a substitute for the last game or so. So look, I think maybe there will be another player coming in, but I do think. I mean, I've got four players that I definitely think are going to be leaving. One of which has played a tiny bit in pre-season. The other three is actually, I'm going to add another one to it. And I'll just do that now. So I have 5 players that are going to leave. Zinchenko's the only one that's had any pre-season minutes of any description. No, not true. Nelson's played a bit as well. But we expect him to go out on loan with a view to a permanent move, probably to Fulham again. Lokonga, I can't believe we're still having the conversation about Lokonga, but he's still technically at the club. I would imagine probably next week something will happen with him. Fabio Vieira, who had the time up at Porto. I don't see him getting integrated into the lineup anytime soon. The other one I've just added to the list is Carl Hein, because we've had other goalkeepers, including the youth team goalkeepers, on the bench, and Cole has not been anywhere near that side. So, and here's the thing: he's an Estonian international goalkeeper. I'm pretty sure we'll get a fee for him, but
with first team minutes all season last year for a Spanish side as well. Spanish top flight side.
yeah, exactly. So, but saying all that, I don't see us generating an awful lot of funds on them players. AFC Always, thank you very much for that comment down the bottom there. Smash up the likes and subscribe to each and every one on the panel. Dom's got Arsenal Domination. We're broadcasting over on Arsenal Domination as well. Posh Bertie does has his channel. I don't know if you're doing anything with it, mate, but
Probably
you
not.
tell me.
We'll have to wait and see.
Wait and see. But cheers, AFC Always. Much appreciated. He also says the Cronkies, hey, we're the Cronkies, are the main issue for allowing this to continue. It's Arteta. Then it's Arteta. Can you explain to me why Arteta on 15.6 million a year, why he hasn't achieved why he hasn't achieved anything in terms of trophies? I don't think it's as easy as that, is it? Premier League's getting
Tottenham could
tighter.
do it.
Sorry.
If Tottenham could win a trophy.
Oh yes, that and they were so impressive the other night as well, weren't they?
And why were they in that game? Because they won a trophy.
That's right, the one we weren't eligible
Something
to.
we haven't done in 5 years.
Good. Dom, sort him out.
I mean, look, it's unmistakable fact that Tottenham obviously won a trophy, and so did Palace. And look, I think if you ask me, could and should we have won a domestic cup in the last 5 years, then yes. I do think that Europa League, and this is going to sound like sour grapes, but I'm going to quote my mate who's a Tottenham fan. We wouldn't have won the trophy in other years with that side, is what he said about it. I think it was quite a weak one, but they won it, and can't take that away. What I would say is, and I've talked about this before, the 5 years, I get the narrative, right? It's an easy narrative, and there is some element of truth behind it. But I do think in the first few years, Arsenal basically had a choice, which was they needed to tear it down and rebuild it, and they have done that, and he's done that very, very well. Now is the time to go and win. I think he probably sort of in seasons 2, 3, maybe 4, had the choice between did he go after the league or did he go after the cups? Because I think trying to go after both with the squad would have ended with both failing. Now they ultimately both ended up with failing because the ultimate success is winning the trophy, right? But I think he did obviously prioritise going after the league and making sure we were competitive in the league and what have you. Whereas I think teams like Manchester United and to an extent Newcastle went after a cup and they won those cups. That's a higher risk strategy because one bad game in the cup and you're out. So I think he could have made a different choice and gone after the cups, and we may not be having this conversation. But ultimately, he also might not have the squad he had now if he hadn't gone after the league and the Champions League last year, because I think that sort of attracted players and made people think that they can get there. And I think ultimately a lot of these players, if not all of the players, still believe in him, certainly the top ones, because we've seen contracts issued for the likes of Gabriel. We've seen formal offers now made to Saliba, who seemed to indicate that he was going to sign one. He was the one I was most worried about, Saka, etc., etc. But as we said earlier, you can have one season of being ready to win. And I don't think Arsenal were ready to win before last season. I think that they did need that time to build. And I'm yet to see sort of, evidence to say that that time wasn't needed. But last year was the first one. It went wrong. If he has the injury hit season that he had last season, this season, he's got to look at himself there and go, because one season can happen. We've seen it happen to Pep last year. We saw it happen to Klopp a few years ago, but not 2 in a row. And that's where they'll have to look at it. So, that's kind of where I'm at, and I think that's probably where the Cronkies are at. That they sort of saw this building, but it has to mean something. And it's this season that it has to mean something because he can't go 2 years of being in the window and not succeeding.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. I have got a couple of comments that I've put starred, which I'll bring up this one first up. before we start really talking about Manchester United. What's the score, by the way, Liverpool? Is it still 0-0?
I'll check it.
I think it's still 0-0, and already there's been a bit of VAR controversy already. But
Imagine my surprise.
Liverpool, apparently Liverpool, a Bournemouth player apparently may have handballed the ball, and Liverpool are a bit furious. They should have got a penalty. The Bournemouth player should have got a red card.
Interestingly, Stephen Warnock on the BBC saying that he thought the ball hit the player's thigh and then bounced into his arm, and his arm was in a natural position and he couldn't get it out the way after the ricochet off his thigh. So it looks like the ball has definitely hit his arm, and it's which is why there's a controversy. But interesting, Stephen Warnock, who played for Liverpool, saying that he didn't think it was a penalty because it was he's supposed to do in that situation.
Okay, gentlemen, what do you make of AFC All West comment here about David Raya, two-time Golden Glove winner in the Premier League now? Is nothing but a glorified system player with too many technical deficiencies.
Can I go?
Yeah, go for it.
So I don't like the fact that Raya has been getting chipped more often than not from the latter stage of last season going into pre-season during that Tottenham game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something that because it nearly happened with Ramsdale at one point. I don't know if that's an instruction.
It did happen to Ramsdale as well. I was going to make that.
Yeah, Sporting Lisbon, I remember. Yeah.
And there was a Premier League game as well, I think. There was two, but one was the ball. I think he missed it. He hit the ground as he cleared the ball, which is why he got chipped.
Yeah.
Which is, that can happen, right?
But I think definitely last season, Raya has improved his last-ditch saves. I used to say 2 seasons ago now, Raya was better, whilst he was more reassuring than Ramsdale, he was better with his feet and possession and on the ball than he was with his hands. And he definitely, but having said that, last season, he definitely made a lot of last-ditch saves to keep us out of danger. I think Raya is a decent goalkeeper. He just needs to stop getting chipped. He needs to stay in his position. I do have a gut feeling that at some point Kepa is as much as I complain that he's another Chelsea player, he's a good option for backup. But I have a gut feeling, and I've got plenty of guts. Kepa has been bought in for more than he's just going to be a bench warmer. I think he's there to tell David Raya, hey, get your act together, or he's our full-time goalkeeper. Especially considering how Arteta brought him on before the penalty shootout against Villarreal.
Interesting.
But I don't agree with that. I think Raya should be our goalkeeper. Kepa is a good cup goalkeeper. I think I kind of trust Kepa with penalty shootouts more than Raya now. But
yes,
as long as he hasn't got a dodgy injury.
No, well, we'll have to wait and see.
I largely agree, right? I think Kepa increases the quality of our backup goalkeeping department from last year, obviously. And arguably is the best backup goalkeeper in the league after Kelly going to Brentford to start there. But I think Raya is a good goalkeeper. I think, AFC always has a point here, which is our Golden Glove has as much to do with our defence as it does Raya. But I think I see the defence and the goalkeeper as a unit, that as one rather than as two separate entities. I think his distribution is good. I mean, I agree with you on the being chipped. I think that is a tactical choice. And I think you see Manchester City and Liverpool do that as well. And it's a risk-free reward, right? Which is that gives you that starting position a little bit higher, which sort of allows you to use that the goalkeeper option without sort of losing another 10, 15 yards. So I think probably overall you sort of gain more than you lose. I think the difference is that Ederson and Alisson aren't getting chipped. So are we 5 yards too far forward, or should the goalkeeper be slightly more aware where that's going to go? If you look at the one he was chipped in pre-season, Miles Lewis-Skelly, is fouled. And I think that's probably where Raya isn't then ready for it, because Miles Lewis-Skelly gets fouled. But equally, Miles Lewis-Skelly could have given the ball at that point, and therefore, he could still have lost it. So I think the starting position should be high. I have no problem with that, but I think that does need looking at because it's happening a little bit too often. But Raya is a good goalkeeper. I think there are 2 or 3. There are 2 or 3 better in the league maybe than him, but he's certainly up in there in the top 4 or 5. No, without question.
And that comment saying he only got the Golden Glove because of our defence. Well, I'll raise you the double save against Aston Villa at Villa Park last season, the last-ditch save against Brentford to stop us from going 2-0 down, and we're going to talk about a game at Old Trafford coming up, the last-minute save, last-gasp save at Old Trafford last season as well. That was all down to David Raya. Those 3 points I've mentioned, Raya kept us out of danger. And I know this wasn't in the league, but that penalty against Atalanta, which we made a double save. So
and the PSG penalty,
defense.
the PSG penalty save as well. I know we ultimately went out, but that kept us in the game. But it kept us in the game. Game over at that point if that goes in, right? So and it's the defense and the goalkeeper for me are one, and the Golden Glove goes to the goalkeeper, but for me, it's both awards. But, the goalkeeper plays his part in that. It's not like the goalkeeper's letting everything in. And it's just he's getting less shot. I mean, he is being protected by the defence, but he also has to do his part, as you've just rightly said, Bertie.
Yeah.
I think part of the modern day game, and this goes to show my age a little bit, is that, I'm so used to seeing a goalkeeper in his penalty area. It ain't as simple as that these days. They do come forward. They do go for a wander. And now I don't like it particularly, but Ray is not the only one who does that. The other goalkeepers in the league, Alisson's very good at that. Edison, although there's questions in the air about him at Manchester City, he's very good at that. But I'd rather a mistake like the Tottenham game that Bertie's referred to happened in pre-season. I don't think if that was in Premier League, don't think that would have counted, in fairness, because it would have gone to VAR.
I think VAR.
It would have,
VAR, yeah. But it doesn't. But what it doesn't do is detract from his starting position. To be fair.
Yeah, I agree. And
I know you're not saying. I know. Go on.
Just a quick update, if I can, for Manfield. Liverpool have just been denied another penalty. This time because there was a foul by Ekitike before the foul by the Bournemouth player.
But I was told by the Arteta fans that Liverpool were in bed with the PGMOL. This doesn't make sense.
He says very tongue-in-cheek.
Swings and roundabout.
AFC always saying not saying Ray is a really bad goalkeeper at all.
I know you weren't saying that, AFC always, but I'm just saying that Ray only got the Golden Glove because of our defence is a little bit harsh on him. I know you're saying he's not a bad goalkeeper, but I'm just, what I just said.
I think you're saying that against Balboa, straight from the Arsenal kickoff, Ray was so up the far the pitch, didn't know if he was a central defensive midfielder. Be that as it may, I think we should probably move on a little bit to what we kind of expect on Sunday. Old Trafford, Manchester United, Sesko versus Gorkarez. Who'd have thought it? Just initially, your thoughts before we head into the game, before we start talking about potential team news. Who wants to go first?
I think we've got one of the toughest runs of opening fixtures there is. I'm not just talking about the game at Old Trafford, but we got Liverpool as well, Newcastle coming up. It's Anyway,
I had to pick that one up. That's quite funny.
Sesko versus Gyökeres sounds like a court case. Oh, I want to make a joke about a former player of ours, but I'm not going to do
Please don't. Don't get us cancelled, Bertie.
No, not again.
Again.
I think Man United, in terms of their attack, have made good business. Cunha and Mbomo as well are good players that I've rated. But I think there are many, many areas that they themselves need to sort out. I think we just need to stop them from getting the ball to their attackers. You'd like to think on paper we'd be the favourites, but our record at Old Trafford is not good at all. And more often than not, when there have been cases where, we might, on paper, come across as the better team, we've gone there and it's a different story. There's something about us at Old Trafford where form and stats on paper go out the window.
Fair enough. Dom, what do you think about Sunday?
I
And I'll
mean,
get to AFC
yeah.
Always in a second.
Funny enough, Posh has just done my next 2 videos for me, which I've recorded and ready to upload tomorrow's is on how tough a start it is, right?
Yeah.
And it is a tough
You're
start.
welcome.
And then I've done my Manchester United preview for Sunday. But I mean, in some ways, I think it's good to get Old Trafford out of the way early because I agree they've done good business. I wouldn't have signed Cunha for Arsenal, but I think it's a Europa League level club, which is where Manchester United probably are right now. At their best, it's a good signing, and Burma is a good signing. I think Sesko is a good striker. I think right choice for us was Gyökeres, but I've always felt that Sesko was a decent player with a high ceiling. But we're not necessarily quite as ready. Although I still think ready. He's still ready and able anyway. And then there's Fernandes. My confusion comes in how they're going to work that through and put that in, because that's basically, are you going to play Mbeumo right? But last year he played much closer to Visser as a second forward. Fernandes likes to operate in that space, and Cunha likes to operate in that space. So how's that all going to fit with Sesko? And we don't know because we haven't seen it yet. Right? With preseason only tells you so much. So I think that will be interesting, but I think that's going to take them some time to work out. And therefore, getting it out of the way early could well be an advantage while they try and work that out. Of course, the craziness makes it really hard to sort of plan for that because you don't know what you're planning with. And defence is about planning and knowing what their teams are going to do, because that really helps you. So I think that will be interesting. But, Posh is absolutely right. The Manchester United midfield, isn't great. Their defence isn't brilliant. I think you can definitely get after their fullbacks.
The exception of Bruno Fernandes, though.
Yes, but I kind of put him in the forward line, Posh. Unless they are going to play him at 8, and if they're going to play him at 8, I think you can get at him defensively. But I think you're absolutely right on Fernandes. As I say, that sort of 4 into 3, or does he try and squeeze all 4 into a team? I don't know. That would be really interesting to see. But midfield and defensively, I think they are suspect. So I think we need to sort of see that sort of Arsenal of Bilbao first half, that sort of more direct approach on Sunday, and get at United quickly before they can set themselves, because they're not great defensively. That's where their main issues are going to be. And that will then hopefully stop them getting the ball into their attackers. And we know we're solid defensively. So I also think width is going to be really important here as well, because that's their fullbacks are the weak areas. So I think it's going to be an interesting game. Sesko's Gyökeres will be, of course, the sort of headline story. I don't think that's settled on one day, but of course, there's great narrative going into it. But that's kind of, for me, where United's strengths and weaknesses are. But it's really hard to tell because they have rebuilt their attack entirely, and we just don't know what it looks like. But they are suspect elsewhere, and that's where Arsenal have to win that central midfield battle, and they have to get at them quickly into the attack. And if they do that, I think they can win. But as Posh says, our record at Old Trafford ain't great.
We have to play them at some stage. What do we make of we make of this comment saying, would you play Timber at left back over Skelly? Don't want to see Calafiori at left back. I have a view on this. I'm playing Ben White at right back. I'm playing Skelly at left back. And funny enough, the only worry I've got is that both our first choice centre halves have come off injuries over pre-season, Gabriel and Saliba. And I'm thinking, do we play both of them, or do we play one of them with I've forgotten his name. That's good.
Calafiori or Kivior?
Kivior is who I'm thinking of.
Calafiori, though, has started at left centre back quite a lot this pre-season as well. So
he has.
So already we've got potential injury problems.
Not necessarily injury problems. It's just integrating the injured players into, or the formerly injured players back into first team minutes. That's what pre-season's about, right?
Well, Gabriel and Saliba looked fine from what I heard against Bilbao.
Played 60 minutes, did Gabriel?
Okay, well, again, I think there's nothing there's nothing I've heard regarding potential injury worries. I know there was rumours about Zubimendi, but apparently he's fit enough to play this week. So yeah, Calafiori he's good going forward. He's like similar to Zinchenko actually. He's good going forward, but I think he can get caught out defensively. There is a point in what AFC always says, playing Timber at left back, but I would probably go with Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, and Lewis Skelly as my back four.
Thank you very much. Just say BBK Sports is in the house. Big up Dom, big up the panel. Thank you very much. Saka versus Kirkes might be one for the ages. And Benjamin Tesco winning goal was got written in the stars. There you go. AFC right? Always starting us off positive.
That's a fear. Can I just come in on the Timber at left back thing? So
yes, mate.
I mean, I think Timber, like Gabriel, is coming back from the sort of injuries they had. So I think they were there was very careful planning around how they were at their minutes pre-season. So I think Gabriel will be fine, and I think he'll start with Saliba. I think Ben White will start right back. He's the fitter of the two right backs right now because Timber is slightly behind Gabriel, but fit for the season. But I don't think you want to start him and Gabriel, and if there's doubts about both. I think because Ben White will get forward on that overlap because he's going to be the right back, I think that then dictates your left back. Now, I think the left back is a system issue. Every side has a weakness, and I think left back is ours tactically because we push it into midfield that little bit more. And the advantage of us doing that, it leaves a space there. And I think that's why we've seen left backs get called out continuously. It's not that they're necessarily bad players, but it's that system. And there's a reason for that. It's risk-free reward, right? And you get, Arsenal, less last season, I think we were too slow, which didn't get the best out of it. But I have, got more out of it since then. But I think because Calafiori is sort of more natural, sort of going wider, I think Miles Lewis-Skelly starts at left back for me because Ben White is going to be the right back. If you had the choice, if Timber was fully fit and you went Timber, you might want to go Calafiori on the other side. And I did a video about that in the week about how the fullbacks can be really tactically used as a tandem and mix things up a little bit, and that plays in as well with that double pivot that we saw against Bilbao, which is actually you can choose which one of Rice and Zubimendi go forward, and I think that's a real advantage. That sort of four could be a real attacking asset whilst also providing us a cover defensively. But I do agree with AFC always in terms of having Timber in the side. If he was fully fit, he would probably be my right back because of the United's attacking threat here. But he, for me, he's not. But I wouldn't be starting him at left back. He'd be starting at right back for me if he was fit. So my back four is White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Miles Lewis-Skelly. And I'm praying to God that's what I said earlier, because otherwise Sunday's going to look different when I say here's my lineup.
I think you make a really good point tactically, because with Ben White potentially at right back, I don't necessarily see him bombing on necessarily as much as maybe Lewis-Skelly will on one side if he's playing on that right side, if Lewis-Skelly is indeed playing over there. But big call to make, obviously, with the defensive injuries that we did have at the end of last season. But like you say, it appears like they are getting through the worst of them.
Goal at Anfield, Lee, and it's gone to the host, Hugo Ekitike.
Thank you very much. I do want to say as well, and this is something that Dom did a video on, and obviously it's a subject that it needs to be addressed. With obviously the Tottenham player Tal missing the penalty, getting racially abused. It appears like Semedo's been racially abused by a Liverpool fan, according to AFC Always.
I'm seeing that too. Unfortunately, I had to delete a comment that was posted on that video condoning the racist abuse. And unfortunately, I had to delete that one because it wouldn't let me post a reply, which was basically saying this is out of order. So I had to delete it instead. And agree wholeheartedly with AFC Always that racism out. I don't care what club, what player. It's just not acceptable behaviour, which is why I did the video supporting a Tottenham player. because it's just not on.
No,
Absolutely.
totally agree.
Yeah. I don't want to sort of difficult to
Yeah, I don't want to go too much
pivot
into
from
this,
that. But yeah, we'll
But
carry
pivot
on.
we must.
Yeah.
Yeah, pivot. as they
Is
would
that
have
a
said
single
on-
pivot or double pivot you're playing there, Lee?
It's possibly a double. But to move on a little bit, talking about Arsenal versus Manchester United, you've already covered this. Zubimendi ready to play. We've talked about before, Dom, the potentially the Gorkarez or Havertz for the starting position for this weekend. I have changed my view on this a little bit because Havertz has minutes in pre-season, although he impressed as sub in the Emirates Cup, because of Gorkarez's amount of minutes he played in the Emirates Cup. I'm probably playing him ahead of Havertz at Old Trafford. Has your view changed a little?
Yes, it has. So, I mean, my view was that Gyökeres or whoever came in was going to end up being the number 9 and that Havertz will still get plenty of minutes. And I think that's still the case. However, my view is also that I thought that Havertz would start at Old Trafford because we know that Arteta likes him. But also, I think one of the key things about getting a good start of the season is actually players that are familiar with how the team is set up and how Mikel Arteta wants to play. Now, you can talk about whether that's the right thing or not, but that's how the manager is going to see it. So I wouldn't have been shocked to see Havertz start. And I still wouldn't be shocked, funny enough, to see him start. But I think Victor Gyökeres will now start at Old Trafford because Havertz is coming back off a very minor knock. And Gyökeres has played well in pre-season, but, you know, considering he's still new and is adapting to the team and the team's adapting to him. And therefore, I think Victor Gyökeres will start. And in many ways, actually, from a Mikel Arteta point of view, if things go badly wrong at Old Trafford, and of course we hope it doesn't, starting Gyökeres gives one less thing for him to be sort of beaten up over. So there's an advantage to him too. But I now am starting Victor Gyökeres, and I think Victor Gyökeres will start.
Yeah, he should do.
Yes, I
Who
think
does he
so.
play up with? Posh?
I think Gyökeres should definitely start on Sunday.
Yeah, who with? Does he play like on the wide side?
No, he plays up front, obviously.
No.
No, I think the question
With.
is who's the other two in the three?
Who are the two wingers? Saka and Martinelli.
So initially
Essentially, we'll go with the same, the kind of the same team that we played against Bilbao, but I'd probably go for Lewis Skelly at left back instead of Calafiori because I'm a bit worried about Calafiori getting caught out by the likes of Mbeumo and Cunha or whoever's starting that left
I agree with that, and as I said earlier, because of Ben White and what he offers as well. I
You've
think
got Amad Diallo potentially going down there as well. So
yeah, I think probably he might come off the bench, but we'll see because we just don't know. But
or
I
it
think
could be a wing back. I don't know because you know.
Yeah, well, that's it. We don't
three back. That's
exactly, and that's what makes it so difficult to know. But I think Martinelli was, had his best preseason game, and it's a low bar, admittedly, against Bilbao. I think that probably gives him the starting job. But also, he is a direct runner, as is Madueke. I don't think Trossard starts this one, and I wouldn't start Trossard for this one either, even if he wasn't an injury doubt. But it was Martinelli's defensive work, and I don't think anyone can question it, may well be crucial in transition. Manchester United are going to look to hit us in transition and get it to those forwards quickly, and Martinelli's defensive work could well be very, very important to Arsenal as well, and that's why I think Martinelli will start.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I mean, down the line a little bit, see how Noni Madueke comes in. I was really impressed with him, like I've already said. But I do see us starting with Martinelli on Sunday for sure.
As I say, I have no issue with Madueke, and you can sort of see what Arsenal are trying to do, which is that sort of to add some direct runners into the team because it is something we generally lack. But I think it will be Martinelli on Sunday.
AFC always going for Nwaneri ahead of Odegaard. Again, interesting point of view. I think that's mainly because we have a view of Odegaard of his last season. I think he's actually had a half decent pre-season, to be honest.
I think he's looked quicker in the touch, more confident. more like himself, but we'll see if that transitions across.
And the
I
other
think if
player I
Max
want to brief
Dowman
up.
was,
Sorry,
I think if Max Dowman was a few years older, I'd have probably been tempted with the idea of starting him. But he's still far too young to get.
You've answered your own question. It would be very irresponsible, in my view, of us throwing a 15-year-old in the Premier League starting 11. I do want to mention your favourite number 9 or 29, Kai Havertz. I thought the goal against Bilbao the other day in the Emirates Cup, he showed some incredible balance and the spot of pace, which I don't know if he had to put the goal away right at the end of the game. And although, maybe his fitness has been a little bit in question, at least if he's there as a backup, I've got no issues with that either. I know you might have, Posh, but that goes back to when we signed him.
I said his best position is up front, but he's a backup at the very best. At best, he's a backup, and I think, So
maybe the role that he's built for, Ren.
As I said, Havertz is not the type of striker you're going to play week in, week out, and he's going to get you 20+ goals. Gyökeres can do that. And I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, but he only did it in the Portuguese league." How come nobody else done it in the Portuguese league then?
I was going to say, I think Gyökeres can get 20 goals. What I would say as well is that Havertz would have got over 20 goals in all competitions statistically if you extrapolate out had he not got injured last season. But I agree that Kai Havertz needed upgrading and it was a right decision. Kai Havertz has done exactly what I said he would do when he signed, which is he will start. He will do better than everyone says he will do, but that wasn't difficult because everyone hated the signing. And actually, he will become a squad player from, funny enough, this season. That's exactly what he is now. And I think he's a very, very good and versatile option to have in your squad, but you don't want him necessarily starting the number of games he's been starting in the last couple of years. So I think, it's been he's going to sort of prove to be that versatile squad player that I think sides going for the title sort of need. A bit like he's a slightly different type of player, but a bit like Jack Grealish sort of became at Manchester City before the last year or two. Slightly different player, but that sort of versatile winger that not winger, but forward that can do something a little bit different.
Fair
but
enough.
Right decision to bring in Gyökeres.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that, and probably a better price than what Sesko could have been as well, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll see the results of that statement on Sunday, perhaps. AFC always
even then, it's one game.
Yeah, true. Havertz looks like the Incredible Hulk's little boy. So, yeah, interesting.
Can I just say, AFC always, I'm a big fan of your profile picture of the legend that is Renee Sleggers, the woman who brought the Champions League to the Emirates Stadium.
You're confident with the women's team in the next season, Posh?
Oh, do you know what? I'm looking forward to it. I believe one of our players has left to join Man City on a permanent transfer today.
That's right, Laura Winroyther, the right back. Your thoughts on her going, mate?
Well, I wish her well in her future endeavours, as they say. But look, I'm looking forward. I'm actually going to try my very best to become a proper WSL fan this season because I really like the look of our women's team, especially considering last season under our lovely Champions League victory. And I was there at the Emirates when the celebrations happened. I was there for it. And it was blooming
glory hunting, you mean?
It was. Sorry?
What? Who said that out loud?
I don't know what you said.
What a magnificent... I couldn't hear it either, but what a magnificent achievement it was. Yeah. And, the atmosphere on that day must have been incredible.
Yeah.
And you know what? When it comes to the WSL, and I said this when I was at the pub with Mr. Meadows, I think the Chelsea reign of terror is going to come to an end, and Renee Sleggers' Red Army is going to win the WSL this season.
Thank you very much. That'll be a short for later in the week. AFC always saying here, I'll come back to that in a second. Laura Winroyther was on loan at Manchester City last season, ladies and gentlemen. So she has made that move permanent. I had got another little bit of women's news prepared as well. There's going to be a friendly at Boreham Wood, Arsenal versus West Ham on the 27th of August in preparation for the WSL season. So I have said that as well. AFC always says here, goes to show that Arteta never wanted Eze. Arteta hasn't got the balls to drop Ødegaard for Eze, also taking the armband off him. Let me refer back to our start of the stream when we had the first team squad voting who they basically wanted as captain, and Ødegaard was the overwhelming winner on that poll. So who are we to go against the first team players?
I think just on this one, I mean, like we say, with Eze, I don't know if I suspect this is more of an Arteta than a Berta kind of pick, actually, because I think, actually, if you look at, like, Madueke, he wants that sort of more direct runner and that sort of person that can do something a little bit different to what he's got. And he's talked about that a lot, and Eze kind of fits that bill. Now, it's hard to know from a press conference when he's talking about sort of things that, you know, he wants in a press conference or in interviews and what have you, how that actually ends up translating. But I suspect actually Eze might well be more in the Arteta build here. I think what seems to have changed the mind, and there's conflicting reporting here that Arsenal are massively interested. They just want to move a couple of players on to create squad space. And the other side of that is interest is cool because of how good Wanyeri and Dalman have looked there.
Right.
But I actually think that Eze is a perfect Trossard upgrade. Right, he can play on the left, sort of coming inside. He can play, he can play number 8, which Trossard can't play, but he can play slightly higher. And I think Eze is that sort of Swiss Army knife option that you bring off the bench and can come in and start games for you as well. I think Eze, I've been on the Eze train for a couple of years. I'm a massive, massive fan of him. Yeah. I really would love to see him here at the Emirates. If Arsenal, though, chose to go and get an out-and-out left winger, and that meant Eze didn't come in, because I don't think it's going to be both, going back to the Madueke stuff earlier, then I can understand that. What is a must is one of them must come in, but I don't think it's a question of balls about this. I think it's a question of Arsenal potentially reevaluating their earlier decision based on what they see in pre-season, which is struggles on that left wing with the out-and-out left winger, but less struggles centrally, and maybe that's changing mind. But we'll see. Look, we'll see what happens with the with the window. And I think just because Tottenham have reignited their interest, and it's reignited, they've always been interested in him, doesn't mean that we won't get him. I don't know if we will or not. I'm not saying we will, but I don't think it's over by any stretch.
Also, when it comes to Tottenham, I just wonder they could get Eze or Savinho. I can't see them getting both. Famous last
No,
words.
I don't. No.
But they'll probably get one of the two. And apparently Pep was saying, oh, Savinho is injured and is not going to be in the squad in our game.
Actually, just very quickly, I could see them getting both, actually, because they got the Son money, and of course they didn't spend the Morgan Gibbs White money, did they? Because that fell through. So maybe they could get both. I mean, I'll believe it.
That'll be a good attack for them if they get those two. That'll be two really good signings. A lot of people question, why do you rate Savinho so much? Well, he is a left winger, but Pep played him on the right predominantly last season.
Yeah.
I actually think he's a very good player. Look, I'm going to use an XG stat here. People might not like it.
Oh, lovely.
But he underperformed by over 8 goals last season. And I think when you underperform by that much, one of two things is true. You're either absolutely shocking or actually you've been a little bit unfortunate. And you don't know. We can't tell with Savinho because it's a 1 year, so you can't compare the statistics. But I think when I look at it with the eye test, I think it was an underperformance just based on it just not happening for him. And I think he could really be a big player going forward, which is why I don't believe the price tag of £35 million, which is what Tottenham were bidding, and that City were willing to accept it. I think Tottenham are going to have to go a lot higher for that. We're talking about the winger market earlier, £50-odd million for backups. Yeah. I think they're going to have to go at least that, if not more, to get him, because I think he's a quality player. And, people have been saying, why aren't Arsenal interested in that? Well, City aren't going to sell to Arsenal. They won't see Tottenham's arrival at this moment in time. But I think he would be a very good pickup for Spurs if they got him, because I think he's an excellent player. But I think City would be silly to let him go, unless selling him with Grealish going out on loan allows them to get Rodrigo.
Fair enough. Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of Grealish, look what AFC always has said. I vehemently disagree on him on this. He says, I would have taken Grealish on loan. I can't lie. No, absolutely not. I cannot
Not done
stand
it for a while.
It's,
I don't know what it is
also,
about. I don't know what it is about a good-looking man who all the girls fancy that I just can't stand.
Maybe I mean, to be fair, you can't be jealous. You're a good-looking man yourself.
Well, that's your opinion. No, it's.
And talking of opinions, segue.
Mhm.
Gorkares, apparently, according to AFC Always, will not get 20 goals in a Arteta season or system. Sorry, Gorkares needs the service, and he's going to get very frustrated as the season goes on. I mean, that's an opinion. He got some very good service as far as I saw on the last game on Saturday.
Yeah,
I
again,
think
we'll
a
just
lot.
wait and
Go on,
see.
Bridie.
Wait and see what happens.
Exactly. I think
See-
if you look at last season, we really struggled in attack, right? No question. And I think some
Yep.
of that was tactical build-up. I think some of that was the injuries and the in and out. And actually, as we got more injuries, Arteta became more in his natural self, which is defensive, which starved the attack. But I also think that if you go back the season before that, we had a record-breaking season for chances created. Let's see which version of Arsenal we see this season. I think it will be the one from 2 years ago, not last year. And therefore we get plenty of service. But if it is last year's, then AFC Always may well be right. But I think he will get plenty of service.
Feed the Yock and he will score. That's what I say.
Oh, very good. Nice. I like that reference very much. He does back Sleggers as the manager of the women's side, which is always good.
Yeah, she's done a great job, no question.
No questions. No questions on that one at all. This kind of leads on to a point that Bertie was going to try and do earlier on, so we might as well try and do it now. Predictions for the season. Where do we think the top four are going to go? I'll put AFC Always' thoughts just in there. If hopefully that'll work, which it will. There it is. Let's go to Bertie.
So okay. AFC Always doing champions and top four, so we might as well combine them together to save time. This is where Mr. Positivity goes away. I think providing nothing changes in the second half, I think Liverpool will retain their Premier League championship. I think you're not going to like this. I think City will get second, will get third, and Chelsea will get fourth. But I do think out of Liverpool, City, Arsenal, and Chelsea, all of those four teams are capable of winning the league this season.
Okay. I think they all are very capable, that's for sure. Arsenal domination. Dom, what do you think?
So I think this prediction will change if Liverpool go and get in a quality centre half as cover.
And
but
Isak.
Right now, yeah, I think Isak's looking more likely. But I think if it's just Isak, I really worry about them defensively. And I worry about their defensive cover and I worry about their defensive shape. But I think if they get the cover in there, I think they become the favourites. Right now, as of today, I've got Arsenal as champions, Liverpool second. But I think let's see how that transfer window ends. Because I think if Liverpool add what I fear they will add in Isak and Gehi, I think that changes my view and I put them as champions. So I just want to put that caveat in there first. I think City come third and I think Chelsea come fourth. I think it will be a lot closer than last year for a variety of reasons. I think last year was a very odd year. I think City are probably doing their second of a 2-year sort of rebuild this year. I worry about them defensively, which is why I have them third. But with Pep as manager, you never know. And I think Chelsea are also a year or two away, but I think they're getting closer to being back at the top table where they will feel they belong and want to be. So that's my top four, and it's that order. But as I say, I do caveat it with if Liverpool bring in more defensive reinforcements, I think that makes them favourites.
Funny enough, our top four, your initial what you said is absolutely identical. I like what we've done in the market. Yeah, we're not done in the market, and I do think there's more to come on that one. When it happens, we'll tell you.
Dom.
Yeah, I'll come to you, Puff. When we've been so consistent without getting something over the line. I think this is the time. We've got the striker that we probably needed. Maybe a little bit of extra help. Maybe if we can be a little bit. I don't want to say luckier with injuries, but maybe we're more equipped to deal with the potential injuries than maybe we were. Maybe a little bit more maturity in some of the other younger lads as well will see us over the line. Liverpool, I think they've done well in the market. They've obviously had a massive blow, and obviously they've been taking respects to Diego Jota today as well.
Yeah.
Big change, lots to expect from the new side, especially forward players. Personally, I think it's going to be a little bit much for them to retain, but there you are. I do see City getting a little bit better than they were last season, and Chelsea, I think, have impressed me of what they've brought in. So that's why I say that.
Can I just address 170 Gunner who says when Gyökeres flops, all the super fans will say he didn't get service. You sound like someone like me who may not be a big fan of Arteta. So as from Arteta outer to Arteta outer, I'll address you 170 Gunner. We've not kicked a ball in a proper game yet. Gyökeres hasn't played in a proper game yet. We don't know if he's going to flop or not. So,
yeah, very balanced, very good point. He comes with a great reputation. Let's see how he gets on in the Premier League, and if he doesn't score in the first game, just say, let's not get too carried away. Let's just remember our history, ladies and gentlemen. Let's remember how long it took Bergkamp to score in his season. Let's remember how long it took Thierry Henry to score. So
there are also different types of strikers as well, right? Not all strikers will create everything for themselves. Alan Shearer was one of the best strikers in the world. He didn't create necessarily a lot for himself. He waited for the service. Gary Lineker, another, right?
Centre forwards when they were penalty box players, different breed to probably the player that we have now.
Yeah, I mean Gyökeres isn't a penalty box player just alone, right? But he
likes to go wide left.
Yeah.
But yeah, great point. Now, I don't know about you, gentlemen, but I'd rather like to watch some of the actual football that's going on this evening.
Yeah.
But so I don't really want to go too much further. I will try and. This is a really difficult question to ask us, but it's worth asking. From the AFC Always, why can't a men's team for the Premier League have a women's manager? Is basically what he's saying. Like Sleggers, like Serena Weekman. Why can't they do a better job than some of the managers in the league? Difficult one to answer that one, gents.
I certainly think that both Sleggers and Wiegman have done a better job than their male counterparts of the men's versions, although I'm including Wiegman versus Southgate because Thomas Tuchel's only had 4 games as England manager and a lot of them were friendlies or World Cup qualifiers against teams that we know we can win anyway. I think we are a long way away from the prospect of that happening. I think
it's not just Premier League; that's league football as well.
Yeah,
I think
just world football.
There isn't. Yeah. I mean, I think there is absolutely no reason why a woman cannot manage a.
I'm not against it, but I just think that
no.
we're a long way away from it. That's just reality.
I was just going to agree with you. I don't think there's any reason why they can't. Right? They still have to have the same tactical analysis, the same control of a dressing room. There's no. The women's egos will be just as big as the men's. The only difference is really are the sort of salaries, but that doesn't always infect the ego. But I agree with Posh. I think it is a long way away. I don't think it should be, but I think it is. What the reason for that is, I think it's tradition. I think it's some sexism. And I just don't. And I think it's going to take a very brave chairman to appoint a female coach, and I think it's a really sad indictment of football, frankly. But I agree, of course, it's going to take ages for it to happen.
Yeah, I agree, and it's unfortunate, but I think you absolutely nailed it on the head. It would take some massive decision for changing the culture of the game. I think, not saying that they're not qualified to do it because they go through the FA coaching stuff. I mean, look, you see it in WSL quite often at the end of the game. You'll see huddles at the end of the game. That sort of thing can happen at the start of the game on the pitch. Obviously, being in changing rooms is a very different situation entirely. But when you're doing your team talk or whatever, there's no reason why you can't do that on the pitch. But it will take a massive decision from a chairman of some description in the football pyramid to make on doing that sort of thing. So there we go. We've addressed it, and I think we've addressed it well, gentlemen. Apparently, now this is another. Apparently, City have turned down 70 million for Savinho. So I don't know where that's come from.
I heard it was significantly less, more in the region of under 50 million. But who knows with transfer rumor reporting, right? I'm not blaming the journalists; they're reporting what they've been told by and large. But who knows who they were told it by.
AFC also says City have turned down 70 million for Savinho from Tottenham. Apparently, Tottenham are moving like a big club. I'm embarrassed. Are we not moving like a big club?
We spent over 200 million this summer.
We're not.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, in terms of selling, we've been a bit embarrassing in terms of selling, but there are positives in our transfer window. Even I can say that. But I do think that if Tottenham get both Eze and Savinho, that is a statement from them.
Okay. I will wish AFC always all the best in his holiday to Cyprus. I love that part of the world. My mum and dad used to live in Paphos for a wee while. So have a lovely holiday with the missus. He's going to switch off from watching Arsenal. I think he's good doing what you're doing, Posh. He's not going to watch the men's side.
Oh, well, let's see how it goes in the first few games.
170 Gunner said, make sure you come back on the 6th of September. That is Arsenal versus the London City Lionesses.
I'll be watching.
Absolutely. It's what the world is watching.
We could be up against Beth Mead if the rumours are true.
Reported on that on the channel here. Maybe a week or so ago. So yes, you absolutely could, but that could happen. It took Bergkamp about 6 or 7 games, yes, to score his first goal for Arsenal against Southampton. Panel, this has been a great show, says AFC always. I think we could carry on and talk for ages, but I really want to have a break and I want to watch the rest of the game at Anfield. So I will say thank you so much to Posh Bertie, first of all, for making a triumphant, and we can hear you this time, return to the channel. Thank you very much for joining us, Posh. Have you got anything you want to say, plug before we go?
Yeah, you can find me on X at Posh Bertie. My Instagram is at Bertie Wanless. I might make the odd sporadic appearance on this channel if I'm lucky. And 170 Gunner, don't sell Mido. Yeah, she's a good servant for the club. Yeah. What do you think? What are your thoughts on this, Mr. Meadows, before we go?
Okay, I will address it. Mido's been terrific at Arsenal for a number of years. Unfortunately, I think maybe she's been a little bit older than some of the other players, and because we have bought well in Smith from Liverpool and some of the younger players around her, it might be best for all parties that she does depart, whether it's to London City Lionesses or elsewhere. I do see our game time getting severely restricted because largely of some of the emergence of the players that we saw for the Lionesses.
We've got Ajiman coming back, and we've also got
exactly
Olivia
what I was
Smith
going to allude to. She was terrific. She's not really featured too much in Arsenal colours, if at all. Was out on loan during the season, and I would imagine she will want to come in and play first team minutes. So that's my view on that. I would say if that does happen, it would be a bit of an end of an era because starting to watch WSL when we started doing YouTube over on the other channel. It was Mido and oh my goodness, my brain is fried. I was trying to wrap up. Help me out. The Dutch striker that's gone to Manchester City, Vivian Miedema. Thank you. My brain's fried and I need a break. Was incredible. So yeah, it's almost like an end of an era on that front, I think. AFC always is saying do an LG emergency stream. Yeah, maybe not. Kroenke's out, Arteta out, AFC always. Thank you very much for watching for your part. Dom Palmer, Arsenal domination, mate. What have you got coming up? And thank you for being here, mate.
Well, I've written the videos for the next 2 days, haven't I? We talked about got a couple of videos due out next couple of days. One on the hard start and sort of what Arsenal should be sort of targeting from those first 6 games. Not something I often do, but it is a difficult start. And then the Man United preview on Sunday morning. Pre-recorded at the moment, but I will update it if anything significant changes. So,
and what time do your shorts go out?
8:01.
01.
There you go. It's all about the 01. Get
up
it
here
to the front of the queue.
Down there for dancing, and it's a PG show, so we'll leave out the middle.
Exactly. Regarding our Schooner Gathering, I would like to do a show after the match against Manchester United. Time to be decided with my illustrious panel. We will get that decided and let you know on our Twitter page, which is, of course, Twitter X, whatever you want to call it, at Gooner Gathering, at Gooner Lee Meets and myself. And we are going to leave it. AFC always, I do see your thing there, but I do want to wrap the stream up because I want to see my family and eat my dinner. So we are going to get out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching. If you've liked what we've done on the channel, please like, share, and subscribe. And thank you very much for watching. And we are going to get out of here as soon as StreamYard lets me finish the stream.
And subscribe to AFC Always' new YouTube channel. Look, down there. Get him to 10 subscribers.
Hold on. I can do that. There you go. Started your own. There you go. AFC Always. Give him a follow. Well done for starting your own thing. Have a voice. That's what the whole platform's all about. We're going to get out of here. I'm going to press it on the other phone because it's not working. See you later, everyone. Cheers.